We just got done with 2024. How good has the year been for Jailbreak, and how does 2024 compare with the other years of Jailbreak? I'm going to answer that today by ranking all the years of Jailbreak from worst to best. I'm mainly comparing how consistently good the updates were each year, but I will also take into account how well the game was performing. Keep in mind this is mostly my opinion, so make sure to leave your own ranking of the years down below in the comments. If you enjoy, make sure to like and subscribe, and let's get started. Easily the worst year for Jailbreak was 2024, though it was not a bad year for it by any means. The developers made the decision in March to cut back on monthly updates, as the game is pretty much complete and there's not much else they can do. And that decision makes sense to me and I am fully fine with it. But the fact is, considering the updates we got this year, 2024 was just not that good compared to every other year of Jailbreak. We only got a few really substantial feature changes and additions, and while they were pretty good for the most part, there just weren't that many of them. Many of the updates this year were pretty small and usually just consisted of a new season and a safe revamp. And in terms of performance, this is also the weakest year for Jailbreak, though it's still doing okay, especially for a game that does not update that much. If you want to hear me talk more about this year and the updates we got, make sure to check out my latest video where I rank all the 2024 updates. Following that, we have 2021. I thought this was a fine year for Jailbreak, but it was not great. The player count was still really strong, but there was a noticeable decline as COVID was starting to let up and players were starting to go back to school, but the game was still doing really well this year. A lot of the updates we got this year were just mid. None of the updates were horrible, but they were not super impressive, except for a couple. We got some really good additions this year, like pit maneuvering, which has been incredible for the police team. We got the tomb robbery, which, while it's getting very repetitive for me, it's still a very good robbery. We got a fantastic 5 days of vehicles update, which added impressive cars like the concept. And in December, we also got the jewelry store revamp and speedometers. We also got the much needed Volt bike revamp in July, which should have happened far earlier, but I'm happy it happened regardless. However, the best thing about this year wasn't really a single update, but it was something that was happening throughout the year. It was the incorporation of community creations into Jailbreak. 2021 was where we would see seasons being fully created by the community, and I think this has been an incredible decision and a great way to keep the community engaged with the game. We've gotten some amazing new vehicles and items as a result of that, and I think it's the ultimate testament to how much the devs love and respect the community by having them contribute to the game itself. So that was the biggest positive of this year. However, compared to all the other years ahead of it, I feel like it's just not as good. After that, we have 2018. I thought this was a great second year for the game, and it took things even further, but it didn't do anything super crazy or revolutionize the game in any way like future years would. This year gave some great additions like the museum update, which was the biggest update of the year. I remember all the hype around it very well, and after the museum was added, the game went over 100,000 in active players. We also got a great update in August with the gun revamp that made them far more enjoyable to use. This year also brought about the first Roblox live event, which was incredibly significant. I personally was let down by the update that came along with the live event, and also with how the live event was executed, since it went off when the game hit 2 billion visits, which was a very inconvenient time for a lot of people, myself included. But that doesn't change the fact that doing a live event like this was really significant and really difficult to pull off, but the devs did it. The player count of the game was very good this year. It wasn't uncommon to see the game go over 40,000 concurrent players. 2018 was the year I first started playing Jailbreak, so I have a lot of fond memories of this era, especially since I was playing with a couple of my friends in real life who don't play the game anymore, so I have a lot of great memories playing with them. Overall, this was a really good second year for the game with some genuinely groundbreaking additions. In fifth place, we have 2020. This was the year that fully established Jailbreak in the state that it is today, with the UI changes, new seasons, new city, and vehicle revamps. In terms of pure stats, this is easily and objectively the biggest year Jailbreak has ever had. Roblox in general saw a huge surge of players this year since COVID happened and everybody was locked in their homes, and Jailbreak saw the effects of that with a very substantial player count. We got the second live event, which was absolutely incredible and saw saw a player count of over 50k until the end of the summer. In terms of updates, this was also a great year for the game, and like I said, it basically established the game's current status. This year marked the beginning of the developers doing vehicle revamps. They would go back and give older vehicles a refreshed model, and I think this was an excellent update idea. We also got some cool updates like the cargo ship and the first ever 5 days of vehicles, which is a really fun community event that would go on every year until 2024. And starting with the Molten M12, this marked the beginning of the developers adding community-made vehicles to the game, which was incredible. The year ended off with the devs adding seasons back to the game, which I was so happy to see since they're the main reason I still play, although they were very flawed at the beginning and they weren't re-implemented in the best way at first. Still, flawed seasons are better than no seasons at all. On a personal note, this was the year that I came back to the game after quitting for 6 months after the horrible OG Season 4 update. And this year was so good that it's kept me interested and engaged with Jailbreak for the past 4 years. Overall, this was definitely a great year for the game, but I think the other 4 years were better, so that's why I ranked them higher. Then we have 2022. This is one of the most consistent years when it comes to update quality. After a relatively weak start, we got an excellent live event, and following that we got heavy hitter updates pretty much throughout the year. The live event doubled the size of the map, which gave way to a lot of awesome future updates, and we got the awesome casino crown jewel robbery. Following that, we got trading, which is one of the most consequential and impactful updates of the game's history. It has revitalized the community and added a whole new depth of gameplay, and it was brilliantly done in my opinion. I was fully against trading before they decided to add it, but I think it was executed really well. Keeping it in a separate game was an incredible idea, and it prevented the main gameplay from being harmed, since you won't be spammed by trade requests. If you don't like trading at all, or if you're like me and you just don't care about it at all, you can fully ignore it and your gameplay will not be hampered in any way, and that has been my experience. Beyond that, trading finally implemented a way for players to earn items that were retired long ago, which I think is a good thing. It cuts back on the fear of missing out, and it gives players the ability to take breaks from the game without having to worry about missing any vehicles or items. If you don't get them when they're added, you can always trade for them later. Though of course it will be a little bit more difficult to get them than if you just earn them from playing the game when they're around, and I think that's good. I think rewarding people for consistently playing is good, but I think people who didn't initially have the chance to get the item should still have a way to get it. There is still a very active section of the community that is obsessed with trading and keeps the game and community engaged. Without trading, the game would not be as popular as it is right now. Of course, trading in Jailbreak is not perfect, but it never will be, and I think it was handled about as well as it possibly could have been. After trading, we also got a few more awesome updates, like the July update, which implemented robbery bonus rolls, hyperchromes, and fixed up a lot of vehicles. We also got a safe revamp, NPC airdrops, and the first ever boss fight with the mansion robbery. Many of these features were implemented with the addition of a third developer, Critstykes, and I enjoyed pretty much everything he had to offer with the exception of crew battles, which I think were a big miss. But ultimately, I really enjoyed what he had to offer for the game, and I am sad he's no longer a part of the development team. The main thing holding this year back is the popularity of the game. It was continuing the decline from 2021, while still not doing horrible. It's still not doing as amazing as some of the other years we've had, but I think it was an amazing year content wise. Following that, we have 2023. The goal of this year was to refine the game more and fix a lot of problematic features or improve flawed parts of gameplay, but for about the first half of the year, not much of that was done. We got a pretty good apartment revamp, but there's still some problems with them and some things I would like to see. We got crew battles, which had a lot of work put into them, but unfortunately were very problematic and now have been pretty much abandoned. And I think there's such a missed opportunity to do cool things like add game modes back to Jailbreak. They need a substantial rework, but honestly I don't think that's going to happen, mainly because Critstykes was so instrumental to crew battles and now he's not part of the development team anymore. However, from June 2023 onwards, the devs were cooking with almost every update. We got an amazing prison revamp, which honestly I didn't think we needed, but I thought was done really well. In August, seasons got revamped, and in my opinion they were made pretty much perfect. They're no longer exclusively contract based. Contracts are still there, but they act as a supplement. The main way to grind the season is by getting a dose of daily XP by doing normal gameplay activities. Seasons are actually enjoyable to do. Then in October, the police team finally, after years of neglect, got some attention that they desperately needed. The simple fix of criminals keeping their bounty even after they die did so much good, and now I feel the cop team makes a very good amount of money. In November, we got a great 5 days of vehicles update as well. Sadly, it'll probably be the last one, but I really enjoyed it. And in December, we got one of the best winter updates ever and the addition of the oil rig robbery. So while this year was not as consistently good as previous years like 2022, nor did it have an amazing player count like previous years, I still prefer and highly value it due to the many significant and impactful updates that are brought about. The second best year of Jailbreak, in my opinion, is the first year of Jailbreak, 2017. And no, I'm not speaking from nostalgia at all because I did not play the game at all in 2017. Now, obviously, this year is very significant because, of course, it's the year it was made. But beyond that, I feel it's very, very good because of how much the devs built up the game and attracted a substantial following within the first year of its creation. Very early on, they started doing weekly updates and listening to player feedback, and this helped fix issues that players had with the game and add features that they had wanted to see. And of course, from this year up until early 2019, this was when Jailbreak had pretty much unequivocal ownership of the front page. It was always the #1 most popular game on Roblox during this era. And while I think the game is in a far better state today, I still think there is something charming about the old days of Jailbreak. And I think the devs did an absolutely incredible job building the game from the ground up almost 8 years ago now. So I think this is the second best year of the game, but I don't think it's the best one. That honor goes to 2019, which elevated the game to a whole other level and made it one of my favorite games on Roblox. Now, real quickly, I think the second half of the year was abysmal and the worst period in the game's entire history when it comes to content, culminating in the OG Season 4 update, which I believe is the worst update in the game's entire history. But the first half of the year was so good that it overshadows the horrible second half. And it's had such a big impact on the game and transformed it into the game it is today. In the beginning of the year, Mad City released, a game that was very competitive with Jailbreak and quickly overshadowed it in terms of player counts. The devs knew they had a big challenge ahead of them, so they went back to weekly updates. If not for Mad City, I think this year would have been okay, similar to 2018, where they just add normal stuff every month. They don't do anything too crazy, but I think it would have started gradually declining in popularity starting in 2019 and not in 2021. However, the competition from Mad City forced the devs to go above and beyond and add a lot of amazing new features. Some updates we got from this year included vehicle spawning, revamping the jewelry store and the bank to have alternate floors, revamping the prison, adding the military base, adding the Uzi. In June 2019, in the span of 1 month, we got a map expansion, a new robbery, a new season, the jetpack, and planes. This was the peak of Jailbreak in my opinion. In June, we were getting amazing content week after week. Overall, it was an absolute blast to play the game during this era. And like I said, I think it was incredibly impactful for Jailbreak. So I think it is the best year in the game's history, and that is probably not going to change. But that is going to wrap up my ranking of every year of Jailbreak. What do you think? Which year did you first start playing, and which year did you find the most enjoyable? Make sure to let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. I have more content coming soon, which you will not want to miss. Make sure to use my code YouTubeNoobFreak at any Jailbreak ATM to get my tires in the game. Join my Roblox group linked in the description, and join my Discord server, but only if you're over 13. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Have a good rest of your day or night.